Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Two Sisters of a Certain Age Conversations with a Therapist and a Doctor. I am your co host, Dr. Sophia Grant, board certified pediatrician and board certified child abuse pediatrician.
And I am your co host, Judy Grant, licensed marriage and family therapist. So, Candy, do you know what season we're in?
Let me see. I think they call it fall in California, but I don't see too much of a difference.
Okay. Regardless of what it looks like outside, fall to me means, all right, let's pull out that fall decor, that Halloween decor, and make your home
Pumpkins.
feel warm, cozy with browns and golds and oranges, and just get that fall vibe going.
Yeah, I actually got some hand blown like glass pumpkins that I got like at a thrift store a few years back that I put out. I don't have as much decor as you do. You really go all out, which is really nice. I remember when the kids were small, I used to get pumpkins and put in the front yard. But yeah, it's a nice change. I changed my bedding to reflect this change in season.
Yeah, it's fun. I've got some garlands wrapping around the staircase right now. The pumpkins are out. The fall cushions are out, and it's funny because my kids tease me about it. Like, Mommy, it's only September 2nd. I'm like,
Right.
yeah? What's the problem?
Yeah.
And it's funny because I think they tease me about it, but fast forward into their lives as adults with their families, I have a feeling we're going to see that replicated in their homes.
Probably.
Yeah, so it's always nice to kind of change things up. I don't know, it always kind of brightens my mood to come and see all of the cool little things that are around the house that
makes things
signify
a little bit
that season. Yeah, absolutely. So, I want to talk to you about something today, and I think it's something that women really fall into without even realizing that they're falling into it. And I think this definitely affects women of all ages, but I think even more so as we get older.
What's that?
Sorry.
Not sorry.
I'm sorry.
What do you mean?
Oh, I'm
you're
sorry.
I'm sorry. What? I don't understand. What do you mean? What?
What I mean by this is that women often find themselves apologizing.
Oh yeah, that's so true.
We apologize for so much.
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny. I have two kind of stories that happened to me recently. I was at the supermarket and I was going to get salad, and there was a woman in the way, and I just waited for her to get what she was. It wasn't a big deal, and she said, "Oh, I'm sorry," and I said, "You don't have to apologize," and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and she was apologizing for saying, "I'm sorry." That was one, and then I was in a meeting earlier this week, and two people came in, a man and a woman, and they were both in the clinic, and they were late to the meeting. And the man came and he sat down, and the woman came and she said, "I'm sorry for being late." And the man didn't have a need to apologize. And we're always apologizing.
Yes.
I mean, what do you think that comes from?
I think there are a number of things that contribute to this. I think when we're raised, there is this expectation of being polite, right? We teach all of our kids say please and thank you and blah, 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 blah. But for women, for little girls in particular, that idea, that notion of being polite, like, is increased tenfold. So we are programmed to say that I'm sorry. We're programmed to ask for forgiveness for, anything, being in the way at the grocery store.
Yeah,
And it's
programmed
something
to not be rude. And
Right.
instead of saying, excuse me, it's, I'm sorry.
Right. And the thing is, as you talk about that grocery store incident, that happened to me the other day.
Hmm.
Again, somebody grabbing their pasta and like I'm going around them and they're apologizing to me. And I again said, "Oh, no, you're fine. You're good."
Right.
But there's definitely this idea that we need to always be apologizing to others.
Right.
And it's very different for women than it is for men because they don't feel like they have to apologize to the
right.
degree that we do.
Right. I have a friend who was telling me that she's no longer married, but when she was married, her husband used to shame her for getting her period.
Mm, mm.
And she was like, she wanted to make herself small, like, like, oh, did you bleed on the sheets? Like, that's gross. Or did you throw something in the trash? You smell. And I'm like, oh my God. You
Okay, so
know,
that takes it to a whole other level. There are all
like,
sorts of issues there.
yeah, that's, but I'm like, you think about womanhood and you think about, XX chromosome, a lot of being a woman, and people say you're a woman now when you get your period. And so this woman was apologizing for her
Hmm.
womanhood,
Right,
and she was
right.
made to feel shame for her womanhood. And then I also think about when you have a baby and you're nursing, you're feeding your child, and people say, don't do that in public. Don't do, like somehow it's nasty. And this is like one of the most beautiful things
Natural.
you can do. It's like your body providing nourishment. And not only did your body house a baby, but now you're keeping that baby alive with you. And women are shamed. I think a lot of this apology is like
Hmm.
we're always ashamed of who we are.
Right. And as you mentioned that, a girlfriend of mine recently had a baby, and I was over visiting both of them, and it was time for her to nurse her baby.
Mhm.
So she gets her little drape and everything, and
And
she's like, "Oh,
cover
I'm
up.
so to cover up," and that's fine. You don't need to do that for me.
Uh-huh.
Um, but she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Judy." I'm like, "What are you sorry for?"
Yeah, yeah. And to me, like, there is nothing to me more beautiful than a woman nursing a child. Like
Yeah.
that to me, like I look at that and I like you kind of remember when you used to do it for your kids, and it almost gives me happy hormones, you know?
Right, right. So separate and apart from the beauty of that and why we feel like we have to apologize for that, there's this deep-seated message in us as women that we always have to make ourselves smaller,
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
excuses in order to be accepted or to receive approval or validation.
Right.
And the things that we say we're sorry for really does not need an apology.
Right.
Like the man coming into the meeting, he just sat down. He didn't
Right.
give a rat's ass about apologizing to anybody, but the woman
Right.
did.
Right.
And how do we break that? And I think that part of this is it comes from a sense of confidence. Do you feel worthy? Do you feel
Hmm.
worthy to be in that room? Do you feel like you're just an extra? And so you have to apologize and kind of make yourself smaller. I think there are a whole lot of internal dilemmas that are going along with this, and we don't even realize it because we say it on a regular.
Right. Right. Now, I mean, have you done anything conscious to not be apologizing for who you are? Me, I carry a bunch of baggage. You probably carry it too. Just being a black woman. I find
Yeah.
that I have to, you know, um, kind of check
Mm.
how I speak, so I don't come across too forceful. I mean, I've been told I'm too direct.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what the hell is that? If I say it and I call it, what is that? And I don't feel that uh, non people of color get the same criticism that we
Right.
get. But, although I do try, I am aware of how I am perceived. I do try and not make myself small. Like, I'm not going to make myself small to make you feel comfortable.
Right.
If I make a mistake, I acknowledge the mistake, but I'm not going to apologize for who I am or the space I take up or the
Mm-hmm.
opinions that I have or my culture, my hair, it's
Right.
just, it's something that I'm definitely working on. But you can kind of still fall into that trap.
Right.
When it comes to getting health care as women, um,
Mm.
we don't want to talk about certain things, or we kind of accept the patriarchy, and we need to learn to stand up for ourselves.
Yeah, I
And
think I think that advocacy, that self-advocacy piece, um, and that sense of empowerment is helping us to minimize that constant feeling of like apologizing, right? Of
mhm,
needing to apologize. And you do have to advocate for yourself, and you can't be sorry that you're asking your doctor, you're asking your teacher, you're asking somebody if you need something from them.
right,
You
right.
just need to say, hey, this is
This
what
is
I
what I
need.
need.
This is what I need. And you know what? I had a student reach out to me. Professor, I wasn't sure about this thing for the paper. Can you help me out? And, I'm so sorry to bother you. Like, don't be sorry. This is
Right.
what I'm here for. And, I kind of broke it down for the student. And I'm like, you don't need to apologize for asking when you need a little bit of guidance, support, and help.
Hmm.
And so I think, again, we've been so programmed. You asked earlier if there was anything that I did personally. And I think I've always been a very polite person, like respectful and what have you. And then I walk in with this blackness that is me. Um, and I just continue to try to be respectful and polite to people. Um, and sometimes I think they're taken aback by that. And that's like a whole other issue.
What, they're taken aback by your politeness?
Candy, yes. Because it's politeness, it's being articulate, it's so many other things that they might be surprised by
So
when they
that's racism, because they don't
yeah,
expect you to. Yeah.
right. So there's
Hmm.
this whole other thing.
Hmm.
But in regards to feeling like I have to apologize for me today, no.
Hmm.
Like I said, I feel like this is like one of the best periods of my life,
Hmm.
and I'm not going to apologize for who I am, because I know I'm worthy, I know I'm valuable, and I know that I have a lot to bring to that table. So if I am truly sorry that I'm late to a meeting because this, that, and the other happened, I will say that. But I'm not
Hmm.
going to say it to small up myself. Do you see the
Hmm.
difference?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I'm, as we're thinking about this and talking, I'm just like looking online, and I just Googled why women say they're sorry.
Hmm.
Like, it opens up a floodgate of different articles and thoughts and opinions, perspectives. And so this is something that a lot of people are talking about. A lot of women are contending with. It's not just you and I, like, oh, let's talk about this. No,
Hmm.
this is a significant thing that people are addressing, whether it's personally or in the workplace. There's an article in Forbes magazine, how women can stop apologizing and take their power back.
Yeah. Yeah. I
You
think
know?
I think there's so much kind of misogynism in this kind of like like women need to know their place.
Right.
And you get into a position of power and you say your opinion, and all of a sudden it's you don't know your place. And I think we have to reprogram ourselves, and I'm definitely more aware of it. But I do not see our kids, our daughters, apologizing for who they are. I
Mm,
think, I mean, I see my girls as like they're smart. They know they're smart. They know they're pretty. They know they're achieving, and they don't apologize for themselves. I think the what is this, Gen Z? Is it Gen
mm-hmm.
Z we're talking about? I think they have like certainly they have claimed their sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
They don't bring shame. There's not the shame that we had with regard to sexual behavior and having sexual relationships and being a sexual being. And I don't see them trying to small up themselves, lickle up themselves. You
Yeah,
know,
and
I think,
and I appreciate that very much because as two mothers of girls, we've got four girls between us. Um, we don't want them in the corner. We
right,
don't want them feeling less than, and we don't want them apologizing for who they are.
right,
You
right.
know, because they are smart, they are, achieving. And I think it's maybe what it is that we're instilling a certain level of confidence and worth in our children, in our girls, more so than maybe in the past.
Yeah, because we didn't have
Because
it.
yeah, because generationally, we see these societal changes in attitudes and behaviors over the course of time. So, I mean, think about women in the 50s,
Right. The
you know,
the pantyhose, the high heels. Um,
the
our mother,
hair,
yeah,
and you
our
were doing
mother,
this even if you were staying at home.
yeah, our mother talks about. She had her brother. I think she was what 23 when Rupi was born, and she's in labor, and she's going to the hospital, and my father is helping her pull on her stockings so she
Right.
can be presentable to go into labor at the hospital as a 23-year-old woman. And I think about like daddy wouldn't be like helping mommy to put on her stockings, but I think how mommy presented herself was a reflection on him also.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think there is definitely a generational component to
Hmm.
this. Um, I want to say that I feel like women today, our young women, are more comfortable in their skin.
Hmm.
And maybe that is because of this like this empowering movement, this emboldened movement for our young women. Um, and I think also just the beautiful diversity in our population,
Right.
and they're seeing like, yeah, we may be different, but we're the same, and we all deserve a seat at the table. And so they're lifting that up in ways where people don't have to feel um, othered, and in turn, they don't have to feel like they have to apologize.
Yeah. And I, as you know, the medical director of the sexual assault team. Oh my God, women get into so much trouble, and that's a wrong way of saying it. Women are victimized
Yes.
because of this wanting themselves to be small and apologizing and not wanting to be rude.
Mm-hmm.
Countless times I've heard I was uncomfortable and I wanted to go home, but I didn't want to be rude. Or I didn't think it would look good. And so again, that's kind of apologizing for your feelings. Like I
Right.
have this feeling and it doesn't feel right, but I'm not going to act on it because I don't want to be rude. And then you find yourself sexually assaulted.
But also think about how women get re-traumatized, re-victimized when they're in a court of law. And, while you were
Yeah.
wearing that sexy dress,
Right, right,
there have been movies about this.
right.
There have been so many things, lots of discussions about this, and how women would have to apologize for what they're wearing.
Yeah,
And, women should be able to wear whatever the hell they want to wear
yeah,
and not apologize for it. Um, this goes back to kind of reminds me of Denim Day,
yeah. Tell them what
where
Denim Day is.
um, I'm not going to get the details right, but I believe this occurred in Italy. Yes.
Yeah, it's Italy.
Okay, so there was a sexual assault against a woman that took place in Italy,
A
and
girl, a
uh,
girl, a teenager.
when through the course of the trial, they shared that, or the defense shared that she was a willing participant because her jeans were so tight that there's no way they could have been removed without her help.
Yeah. God, I feel,
And
yeah,
so now you've got a young woman apologizing for
for her
wearing her
jeans.
jeans.
So on Denim Day is the day in April where
Yes.
you wear jeans to kind of highlight that, women should not be blamed for their sexual assault.
Right,
God, I feel
right.
nauseous just thinking about how horrible that is.
But like Candy, so if we're little girls and we're being taught to apologize from the time that we're very young, and then we hear examples of things like this, and we see them in the boardroom and in the schools and in the this and the that, it's no wonder that we do this.
Yeah, I think of like a working woman, when I was married and working and the kids got sick, the father never got the phone call to come get your kid.
Oh, no, please.
And so
That's funny.
we had to apologize. I'm sorry I have to leave work to pick up my sick child. I'm
Right.
sorry I missed work. My baby's sick. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, God, it's so freaking oppressive. Like, shit.
Yeah.
You know,
But we are getting better. We are.
but
And I'm gonna I don't have this exact quote, and it's this beautiful thing, but if anybody has seen the Barbie movie, there's this beautiful speech that America Ferrera gives where she's talking about like the burden of womanhood.
yeah,
And it is, I kind of went into that movie like, oh, this is just going to be this fluff piece,
fluff.
right? Beautiful, so visually appealing, but this fluff movie. Finding out that it's a whole lot deeper than it was. So I
Margot
commend them.
Robbie. That movie has
Yes.
made over $1 billion, by the way.
But in the movie, it talks a lot about like female empowerment, and it talks about like the burdens of womanhood, And it's really like celebrating woman, um, and our power, and and not being this, not being secondary, and
Right.
not having to apologize. So it's a lot deeper than I expected, and I really did appreciate that.
So, in my role, at work, I'm, in a position of power and authority. And I work with only one man, and the rest are women. And one thing I think is important is to uh, use language that is empowering. So when people come to me and they um, apologize for having to leave work to pick up their, I'm like, listen, I got kids. Just go handle your business. Don't apologize,
Mm-hmm.
um, or apologize for this. Or I said, don't apologize. Don't try and diminish your value or your worth to make yourself acceptable to
Right.
me. And that's one thing that I'm trying to do for my staff is to
Right.
not be an apologist, for
Right.
myself, and to lift people up and empower people and to make people realize that they have value.
Yeah.
Um, because I think because of my role, yeah, I've been told I'm intimidating. So I do try and use language to empower people, as my staff,
Mm-hmm.
the ladies I work with, so that they don't feel apologized, that they do feel like they can make decisions, come up with ideas, come and approach me. And I
Right.
think it's a conscious effort that you really have to do to kind of let women know that they're valuable in the workplace.
Right. And, working with clients, especially those that might be suffering from low self-esteem, it's helping to build that up in them,
Hmm.
helping them to recognize their worth. Um, Having them put post-it notes on their bathroom mirror. I am worthy, I am beautiful, I am valuable. All of these little interventions to help them realize, that they do have power, and that they can hold on to that, and they don't have to acquiesce um, as they move through this life. And so it's really, how do we foster that sense of confidence and worth in our young people, and continue to do so? Because like we said earlier, we see that there's a shift, but we need to continue that. We need to continue that, and we need to empower our young people. We need to empower our own colleagues, our peers,
Right,
to let them know, remind them of their value, um, and stop saying I'm sorry.
right.
Stop saying I'm sorry. Um, you know, if you sneeze, you sneeze. You don't have to apologize for it. So true.
So
So true.
do you apologize if you fart?
No,
What do you say? Excuse me.
excuse me.
You can say excuse me, but you don't say I'm sorry.
No.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hold on. I'm just gonna go ahead and say the fact that you use the word fart is so disconcerting to me,
I
because
know.
as Jamaicans we don't say that, and it's almost a bad word. So I was kind of like, who the hell is my sister
I
right
know.
now?
But
You
our
need to
audience may.
apologize for using that
I'm
language.
sorry. Yeah, in Jamaicans we say poop, poop.
Pup.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
um, but since most of our audience is American, yeah, I use the vernacular of
Okay.
America. So,
Okay.
all right. So, moving forward, like me, I personally am not making myself small to make you feel comfortable with who I
Hmm.
am. I'm not going to do that.
Right.
I am not going to apologize for things that are normal or things that happen. I am not going to apologize for my opinions
No.
or who I am. I will empower those who I work with to hold their own space, to take up space, and to not be sorry for who they are.
I'm going to do what you do.
Okay, you always copy off of me. Your entire life.
That's what you say, so might as well.
Yeah.
No, and I think for me, working with students, working with clients, with my colleagues, just, giving them the grace to be themselves and accepting that completely without them feeling that they have to be any less than, because they don't.
Right.
They
You know
do not.
what? I was just thinking sometimes I examine teenage girls and they apologize to me that their legs aren't shaved.
Oh,
Can you imagine? Like I'm seeing
yeah.
them for a sexual assault exam and they apologize that whatever, their
Right.
natural hair is still there. Wow, that
Okay.
just hit me.
Yeah. There's a lot to unpack there.
Mm-hmm.
We want to thank you for joining us in this conversation, and let you know that I might feel very strong and confident today, but there was definitely a part of my life where I felt like I was tripping over the apologies that I had to make to different people in my life, for whatever reason. And today we want to lift you up and embolden you so you don't feel like you have to be small. But know that if you've apologized in the supermarket, at work, at home, but if you want to stop doing that and just allow yourself to be you and to embrace all of you, please know that we can relate.
We can relate. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of s2e10 entitled Sorry Not Sorry. We want you to reach out to us at s2e10podcast@gmail.com and send us your questions, comments, concerns. And do us a favor, and if you could just rate us, rank us on whatever platform you listen to, that helps our numbers and it helps us to grow. And please share with a friend. We love having new people come in and becoming part of the s2e10 family. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Goodbye.
No Longer Network.